So we will be continuing the Vajradhara lineage prayer today and tomorrow, and then from the day after tomorrow we will start the teachings on the 8 verses of training the mind. So we'll have 3 days on the 8 verses for training the mind. So, we call the other one mind training, but basically, whatever practice you do is mind training. It's all training the mind. Just a question of whether it's called by that name or not. So now we will recite the Vajradhara lineage prayer together.
Kapsu Baba, Changdong Ni Chabra Jabala, the Nilayan Churwa, Onshi, Inche Sum Yabanani, Churwa, Amadubi Rimba, Honda Shoes, Ringi Kapsu Baba, Onshi Layan, Rango Chongwa Las, or Sumle, Shanlo Kumjini, Kamba, Mugu Kumjako, Yeme Kumji, Onshi, Jabba Sum Yabanani, Kapsu Baba, Shanlo, Nijung Kumji, Kamba, Chabra Jabalas. Number some just the lay, Shuayin, Kazan, Tangarangi, Chashi Dabajana, Talamad, Janam to do Hagobana, Nangarangi, Cuba, the country to Chis, and Zangmachi, Yontuna, some stay in the Zuki can be any, Chatan, Shutu Mindo, Dakazin Kondo, Yakala, Lama number Ni, and it been number Ni, Namdarati, to do some Shubare. And how much that Sugar Jabal Tizuki Tangido and it did some Shasha or some song.
First of all, I'd like to say Tasha Delek to everyone. My original plan was to give brief introductions to the life stories of all of the gurus mentioned here, and you could know about them and have a clean understanding of them. But because of the time, we haven't had time to go through all of them. So in the past few days, I went through the two from India and two of them from Tibet, and I just don't have time to go through the rest now.
Sandik Badazala, Mitama, Jijigura, Sandik Bajig Lapido, in Laguedo, Tati Tendin, Yungres, Sandik Badza, Tajatan, Tajatan, Takuran, Lonilo, Kawachi, to dredge in, Kang to dredge near Badi and Shenla to Shayong Bade, and Sandik Badazo, Sedi Zamji, Diana Jajatambata, Mount, then the Nanduki Mareta, Yonsa Res and Samtamlata, Tobakan, Shasha Gure. Nayandana, Kondo Shushabe, Anichi Kivu Chimbo Dizo, Yakarki to Doinare, Pegi to Doinare, Dizu, Senik Pale, Saba, said Dizam member. Then Kiwong Umalanare, Maumbola, Chunjutamji, Chutamji, Rajin, Chutamji, Nedang, Tamji, Tula, Now, Tula, Kenne, Tadaki Tula, Tungshabadi, and Maumbi, to Zurji, the Seminam Latana. Tadayan Lam Dilla Show, Yamsulena, Tuma, Judan Chabala, Tal to be Yoba, Dewa, Pintangi Dewa, Lanameba, Tol to be Yobadi, Konambeki, the Tobotan Yomare, Jajatamba, and Yichajama, Maran Samaki, Kunamba Tula, Yen Jajatamba Tula, Tundaba, the Leje, the Nichi, Nichi, and Aranzo, Kondu, Ten Joshua Lama Tamjala, the Nichi, so Jundu Tevedi, Kajama Chadere, somebody do.
In any case, it is important for us when we read the names of the gurus to have faith and devotion in them. It's like in worldly terms, there are scientists, and we all believe what the scientists say. The scientists do their research, and we think, oh, this is definitely going to happen. Actually, the scientists, what they do is they do research. They spend years doing research, investigating things, and then they come up with the results of the research, and they explain the results of this research. And when they explain them, are primarily things that apply to this life. And even with these, they're not 100% certain. They don't say that they're 100% certain. They say, oh, it's probable that this is going to happen. So there's a bit of uncertainty about it. But when we think about the great masters from India and Tibet, they're greater than the scientists. And the reason they're greater than the scientists is that they don't just tell us about what is happening in this life. They tell us about the past lives. They tell us about future lives. They tell us how we can free ourselves from samsara. They know the nature of all phenomena in samsara and nirvana. And then they tell us what they know. They tell us, if you enter this path, then practice the path, then you definitely will be freed from suffering. You definitely will be brought to lasting happiness. There's no doubt about this. It's 100% certain. And so they teach us the path in this way. And so in this way, it is important for us to continually supplicate these gurus.
Tadrinje kapsa babadi ani shenlok komje kangbar sungba shin senor kunla chashen mebat cheder toda chebe komjenla nyangur shemba mebra jinje lo busnenda da korola kyoshi jegore korola shemba lo gore etun zodi shegyore.
So what we will discuss today is the stanza, revulsions the foot of meditation as it's taught, as ones with no craving for food or for wealth, who cut all the ties to this life, please bless us, to have no attachment to honor or gain. And so what this primarily teaches is weariness with samsara, and having revulsion for samsara.
Nyamlen nanglayang song yorala and the Rinpoche Tang Teshinang Sabrate Naya that the Nakapsulayang Tadi Kapsula Nyamlen Chebi Kapsula Tumungi Mondro di Tungure that Tumung Sedingala Tekba Tumung La Tateba Magin Yende Tekbani Yaki Torje Tekbi Tumungi Komja Tumungi Nyamsul Anja and Tumungi Mondro Segure.
Now, what we are speaking about here is what Rinpoche spoke about this morning in discussing the song of Khenpo Gangsho Rompo. So Rinpoche has already taught it, but basically when we're practicing, what this is called are the common preliminaries. The reason they're called common is that they're common to all the vehicles, from the vehicle of the listeners, that is the foundation vehicle, all the way up through the Vajrayana. These are practices that are common to all of these vehicles.
Talodo number she soon jogala, the Nangaran Tambo, Karikum Gorson, Tajunia Kawa, and Dijala, Chewa Medaba, Dijala, the nature legute, Dijal led the Latin table crony, that the number she di Komko Kure, and the Anna Jing the Nangaranzo, charging Mundu, the Nalayanta, Tawa de la Candeson Resin, Tambo Comja, Tajus engine de Toga Chilla, Dareto Jas, Yamne, that Nandu Gazula. 다 다르바단 탐제팀에 고만 토버들이 기부디스 통만이도 검자도 가래스나 나랑서 되된디 빠진 거에 막 하고 그래 통과질라 안다 간다 통과와디 하고 그래스.
Now, these four common preliminaries are called the four thoughts that turn the mind. The reason why they're called the four thoughts that turn the mind is because they're worldly ways of thinking, and we need to turn away from them. We need to turn our mind away from the world. So that is why they're called the four thoughts that turn the mind. And of these four thoughts that turn the mind, the first is the precious human body with the leisures and resources. The second is death and impermanence. The third, karmic cause and effect. And the fourth is the defects of samsara. So these are the four common preliminaries. Now, what reads in the practices for the Mahamudra, what it says in the practices for the Mahamudra preliminaries, it says, first meditate on the precious human body with its pleasures and resources, so difficult to find and easy to lose. Now I shall make it meaningful. And so what this teaches is the importance of this precious human body that we have and how difficult it is to achieve.
당보 다저기 루딘 달와제 주로 주상의 루딘디 남정가랑서 레라보도 예 조조 더버지 근데 선부 코교를 때 아니 lamnim tham chila ane lama koma tham chigi suna dile lama tsame yo mares ta ngarang su lidun tabe tiya dine gyuri kone nyabar kawa jangi kone nyabar kawa pe kone nyabar kawa ta tende chini mangbo chigi ane tsangu gore mana chigbu ki dine gyu chigbu ki yang ane lidun di yegi mares dāna shingi dā rāng dāso māngbō chī kārī sāmbā tāna yā dā līdhīn dī lē lāpa sāṁ tōku mā rē sī kālē kāpō rē sī nī dā āndā dā mī māngbō nā nī sōng yōng kio rē
So, first of all, with our precious human body, with the 18 leisures and resources, normally we think, well, this is kind of easy to get. We think we could get it any time. But it's not like that, as all the great masters of the past have said, and as is written in all the teachings on the stages of the path. It is difficult to get in terms of the causes. It is difficult to get in terms of analogies. We can understand how it is difficult to get in terms of numbers. It is difficult to get. So we have to have all of these come together to get it. So it's not easy to get even in terms of the causes. And when we think about the numbers, the statistics, then we see how it's not easy to get it. And this is something that is taught in all of the teachings on the stages of the path.
ngondo chuni surim leshin me ta ngarang milito metodi ta che kazan rubu sumana kibu chungu ge samlo tana ya kibu chungu ge domba da kamro domba na re kenyen domba ya ne na chesodare na na den ta kanda domba chi khilang sa chala ya bu sung dom ne ngarang je kewa chemala ta milito be ge gyudi thande ge re labor da ine domba na de ge ne nisha tuji ge ine domba na ya de so sang ya bu sung ba na 되기 아니 규디 아니 상마장냥 상교래때 대중아라서 선도다나 하고래 말한 돈받지 랭교래til라 각자 가려래 도자 가려래 삼삼 디조양 고추교 말에 삼삼 디조 고추나야 디조라드는 알아서 밤에 비와네 온기 때네 예동 망보지 용대교래 밤동 망보지 용대교래 디조라드네 알아서 세븐들라 딱 규디나 냠규차도 교래 된들라 선도 땅바나 네 마음보다 미리 타베데 칼레카 보더지 아주 수수수 선도당 수수다나 다 삽삼마지나 달림 되던데 인지민지 삽삽제고도 삼로데 되거든.
And so, what is the cause of achieving a human body? Well, it is maintaining our discipline. This is as said by the great Chandrakirti in his Entering the Middle Way. There is nothing that precedes this. Nothing precedes this other than discipline. And so, in terms of the foundation vehicle teachings, it's like keeping vows, going for refuge, taking the lay precepts, or any of the vows of individual liberation. When we take the vows, then we need to keep them properly, and if we do that, we will then be able to achieve the precious human body. We could even take the fasting vows, the 24-hour fasting vows, and that would become a clean cause, a proper cause for achieving the precious human body. But when we do this, we see that actually, often we don't really even understand what are the precepts of taking the vows. What are we prescribed from doing? What should we do? If we don't understand that, or if we understand that, under the power of carelessness, we accumulate many downfalls and breakages and violations of the vow. And we see that therefore it is very difficult for us to actually to have a good, clean cause for achieving the precious human body. And so we can see how difficult it will be for us to achieve a human body in the future, and if we do not keep our discipline properly. And so for that reason, we see that we actually need to be very careful now that we do have a human body.
다 lela bodo bachina yang shala chambo chila sema sen de rilu yore Didi ani mangboche torna ya jangla shala chambo dala tsani chikyan degi mare mare yongre te shala chambo yoro tada shodo re tina chingi ani ngaranzu mili di tobe kala kabo yore es lagi yore jang sidu kamtene all
Now, the second way is by analogy. And what's traditionally given in most texts is the analogy of the blind turtle who comes to the surface of the ocean only once every 100 years, and whether he can stick his head through a yoke floating on the ocean or not. But to make it easier to understand, it's like throwing peas at a wall. No matter how many peas you throw at a wall, none of them are going to stick to the wall. None of them are going to stay there. They're all going to roll down. And it's the same with the human body.
다 돈로디 밀렸잖아. 돈로디 장시다 망보래. 근데 장상 찍나라야. 다 바제 작업직이 미차장 장가디 장상 찍나라 용되게 장마상들도. 대야 도시라야 될 용되래. 디면에 수술로 삼도다마 미리리기 류나라 심부 제디시동요라. 대술로 삼도다나 그 미리리 류나라 삼정가서도 딜러다나야. 미 생이 용용 돈도선의 망보 다 잠소다도 살내바다 relation 슈나다 망보여 당한테 뒤주기에 대해 relation 잡는 뒤주당의 말에
And so it's harder to gain a human body than even that. We can also think about it in terms of the numbers. Now, we don't see the hells and hungry ghosts, so it's difficult for us to believe in them. But we do see animals, and we can see that there are far more animals than human beings. Even like under a rock, if you look under a rock, there are more animals, more bugs underneath a rock than there are in an entire country. And if we think about human bodies, it's said that each human carries within them 84,000 parasites. And if there are 84,000 parasites in every single human body, then there must be far more animals than humans. And this is not even considering all of the animals that are in the oceans, all those that live in the land, and so forth. We don't really have time to go into their numbers.
더 방법검사 달조 renjindi 사 달조디 달림 달조기 류된 터버디 림부체를 빼셔버려 림부체 생기 요나 소소기 아니 소와 가리땀나야 민 년자 또 마당 거리 고나야 되게 두두고요 낭두고요 대나 생기 나랑서 대화는 대화라 저도봐 산지지 고만 톱도버디 네 강을때는 용거선 달조지 류들한테 달조접기한테 그든 디된라 그치 lama kevishini na che te kumnen tamaashu te zanane chudi nyamsu lempa na dewa do rinpoche dan chik pare kaan sambi tende to pare ta nyamsu male nani dine nyensong la yang su tang korsi na nga rangi tang do pare mi shenpa su chigi ten chik do kyo mara chim dani.
And so the first thing to meditate upon is the precious human body. The precious, so it's precious like a jewel, like a wish-fulfilling jewel. With a wish-fulfilling jewel, whatever you ask it for, it will give you wealth, fame, a good name, and so forth. Similarly, if we want to go from happiness to happiness and achieve the result of Buddhahood, what is the basis for it? It is the precious human body with the 18 leisures and resources. When we gain this human body, then we meet a guru, the spiritual friend, request the teachings on the fifth instructions, and practice them. That will bring us from happiness to happiness and to Buddhahood. But if we do not, then the only person who will ever send us from down into the lower realms is ourselves. When we fall into the lower realms, there's no one else who condemns us and sends us. It is only ourselves.
냠뇽스나면도 셰들이 윤된디 현스면 탐자란 돈도바 현지도야 돈도바나 라신이가 돈트브트비시나 아니다 림포체 단축바레스 라이어레
And so the way that the precious human body is like a jewel is that if we practice the Dharma, then we'll be able to bring ourselves our own benefit and achieve Buddhahood. And once we've done that, then we can explain our experience and teach our experience to others and also bring benefit to others. And so in this way, it is like the jewel that will bring benefit to ourselves and others.
당아란서 세딜라 마지바당 마디바당 동안나 소보 용데디 주가르나 투낭데 다 투낭디 투낭 동아기 임보디 강기소도 그랬으나 내가 담비추만나 샴바기 네 투낭 임보 조도비요 말에 디엔디 담비추냐면 제디 계점자 투낭 동안래 조도고 그래.
Now the cause for all of our unhappinesses and displeasures is confused perceptions. And so what is the antidote for the suffering of confused perceptions? The only antidote is the Dharma. This is what can rescue us from all of the suffering of confused perceptions.
제가 가선 담보금에다가 처가직라 다르다여자 다 던득이 루텐지 다 아니면 탑데 되갑살라인 균능부 되게레스나 다 균능부 대사 말에 탑 까면 배장 교수님 가래라 삼다타나 배 칼레카보도 다 매바 차이네 내나부 쇼지도 스타팅 알아서 남제 뭐 간다 가야나요 뭐 저버지나 사야라 칼레 쇼지요레 다 매바 타이나 내나부 쇼레 직접 차도고 타마.
And with this precious human body, will we have it for a long time? We will not. It's difficult to achieve, whether we think about it in terms of the numbers, the analogies, the numbers of the analogies or the meaning. But it's extremely easy to lose. And if we think about a comparison for that, it's like money. It's easy to get money and very easy to lose it. And it's the same with our human body.
dan nibodi ne ta tu du jin drona mana ya du zo ki kala khabu ja do nibodi meda pare meda ba komedi tin nibodi da ne chu tam je meda jin tane chinno je je ya meda pare ta chu du gore chu lo ya shin de na chu je sam jan tam je ya ki ne ma shi ba la ken chik jan yo ma re sama ki bi thama de she nya ji re.
Now we need to go through these quickly because of time. The second is impermanence. As it says, the external environment is, everything in the external environment is impermanent. So the external environment is impermanent. The sentient beings who inhabit it are all impermanent. There is not one who is born and does not die. As it is said, the end of living is dying. Everyone must die.
That's in the Mitaba and Kanda Chagger, Nan Chuji to Walla, Mitaba, Lassam Kande, Tana Chun Yamlen Chagin, that the Kibu Chimbo de Zoya, that Hamadi Mitabi Sultan, that so Sanji Chumden, Mitabi Sultan, that is Jagari Pendu the Jam, Mitabi Sultan, Piji to do the Jam, Mitabi Sultan, that and it's the Sama Mitaba Redo, something that is. Mitaba imba najing mitie ngarang to la yoya imba de ansama ha go go de ngarang sama ngashigire samdo de shira khugyo mar dima korti ta nga chu che go do nga chika nyamlen che go samdo de shira le tu go mar nga chuling bo de gere nga da ki butang go go do nga yak pu go go do samne de le shem ba shu ju kapsala te mitaba de je do go ra ta par simba de shu jam bo go ra.
And so the descriptions of impermanence are given at length in texts such as the Jewel Ornament of Liberation, which discusses the way that the external world environment is impermanent, the way the internal sentient beings are impermanent. And it also talks about how all of us who practice the Dharma are impermanent. All of us, all of the great beings have have demonstrated impermanence by passing away. The Buddha just demonstrated impermanence by passing away. All of the great Indian Panditas demonstrated impermanence by passing away. All of the great masters of Tibet pass away. They are all also impermanent. And we also are impermanent. We also will pass away, but none of us really think that we are going to die. And because of that, we don't think, oh, I need to practice the Dharma. I need to engage in Dharma. I need to practice. Instead, we think to ourselves, I'm going to live a long time. I need to enjoy life. Impermanence isn't going to happen to me. And because of this, we do not take impermanence to heart, and we have a very strong eternalist view.
상위당 개와치만을 강원데 예봐야 말했어. 다 드린건다 시게 말했네. 타쳐 두고요 말다. 나란저는 시게 말했었네. 다 뒤남 딱버려 삼로디 요르데 콩 넘버나 텐텐요 말에 삼네데 딱뭐 미다보콤 미다보 일라텐 텐데진 딱버도 프로그래. 타마 셰서지나 감드네 너디 셰타당 카 옵샤그레스 라거래. 근데 양절 셰라 레와요 말에 간나 개워치마 차로나 다 사이게 드린 다다 사신버데 타마 차로 사이게 타마 차로 양절 살롱 요 말에 내가 론치 고가면티니 내가 카우 되네 샤기요래 가는 게 비신이죠.
So everyone from the kings on the top to the beggars on the bottom, everyone is going to pass away. We may think that I'll die when I get old, but not when I'm young, but there's nothing definite about this either. There's no knowing when we are going to pass away. So with the great Kadampa masters, what their primary practice was is to practice impermanence. They had a saying that it's not known whether tomorrow or the next life will come first. And so there's no way of knowing which is going to come next. If you really think about it, there's no certain that tomorrow will come before the next life. We don't know if we will, whether we will die this evening or not. We normally think, oh, I'm not going to die this evening, but there's actually no certainty about that. And so these great Kadampa masters continually thought about impermanence. They contemplated it. They recalled it. Even when they would eat their meals, after their meal, they would turn their bowl upside down and put it upside down as a sign that this could be their last meal. Because there's no certainty that are they going to wake up tomorrow and have another meal tomorrow? They don't know. And so they turn their bowl over after their meals as a reminder of impermanence.
남다른 미다바디 야부 저슬로 땅만나 가르쳐서나 다 땅가나주 셴로 공기 서든 체들라 셴바도 고레 또 와라야 세나군라 차셴빵 고레 체들라 되다초 고레 란디 조조디 그냥 아주 미다바 야부 지줄라 제스나 근데 셴바디 도도 고레 셴바디 라신기 추르도 고레 디만나 아나주 참마 윤진 부질라 때 rāṅ-tsaṁ bātana rāṅ-gi nāṅ-mi, rāṅ-gi piñcā, rāṅ-gi kyākāp tā māṅbū chīla samlo tāmi cedī-gi dewāla tā shenchīng chāgi semdi yīng dukyo re, semdi nādu nē dukyo mārē tā ñamlēn chī dukyo mārē tīn dukyo tā mitāpa tī gyūla miyapar tu kī dukyo re.
And so when we think about impermanence, when we think about it a lot, then we develop the revulsion. Revulsion means revulsion for this life, that we are reversing our attachment, our fixation on this life. As it says before, it's not having any craving for food or for wealth, for cutting the ties to this life. So primarily it is by meditating on impermanence that we are able to reverse our fixation on this life. We're able to decrease our attachment and fixation. Normally, we think that we are going to have a long life, and we think that it's not just ourselves. We also think that it's going to be our family, our friends, our country, and everyone. We think that we'll be around for a long time, and then we get attached to the pleasures of this life, and by being attached to the pleasures of this life, it distracts us from practicing the Dharma, and we do not engage in practice. And so for this reason, it is important for us to really integrate impermanence into ourselves, to really realize impermanence.
다 산이 치드 갑슬라 드네치 추부이나야 그늘 벤조 가야 계획이 왕자여 말에 타마 제브르장부 류양냠도 트여여 말에 다나진기 다 계라침부 민계라침부나 민대냠도 제도여 말에 뒤에 지금의 사셔야래 근데 다나진기 리버진 딱법 기부드라보 딱 본부드라보 침부이나야 치비드슬라 근데 대체 상마 샤는 줘야만 요 말에 라마 침부이나야 섭지 지야트에 요 말에 란치부 쪽으로다 남지 빼디 그러셔서 마르기나네 부담바나신 탐 만나는 부담나 부들라 마르저게 말에 부장바 야용을 상마라데 그래 이 샤는 줘야래 딱 세들라 칼레 가져잖아요 타마디 요샤야래 근데 가르쳐서나 세들라 이바 미게 와사바디 냠도 제고래 근데 내 개와사가면 네 냠도 제어래 좀 가게요 말에
And so when tomorrow or in the coming days, when we die, whether if we are rich, we will not be able to take any money. We won't be able to take our human body with us. If we have fame, we will not be able to bring our fame with us. We'll leave all of this in the world. If we are powerful, if we are a president or a minister, then we will leave that power behind. Even if we're a great lama, we will not take a single attendant along with us. So the example that is often given is that it's like pulling a hair out of butter. When you pull a hair out of butter, the butter all stays behind. The hair comes out clean. So it's in the same way. We have to leave everything else behind. The one thing that what we can take with us is it's our misdeeds and non-virtues will accompany us. Our virtues will accompany us. Nothing else will come with us.
That's somebody legend it was a young to see the Tanya Chagdo. Somebody is around in the world. That's somebody is over Chela. Narawan Europe, Luganata, than the charging on Rawan Yamares, Lane Takrija Tibapangs, gave each our Tower Jazz. That shits on around Rawan was again the Susure, Chicken, Mission Bucket Service and Mares, Maran, Tana, Soshimikabla. Lega Kaji, Duki Karichi, Ag Karichi, Yiki Samblo Karatan, the Niki Lesa Java, Lay the Gitang around to Butangares, Onja Never Sugares, that Lay Miguel Mabu, Sajaba Yungure, Tiladan and Amam Shooting around so, Yansong in Ezula, Ranching, Bijajab Younger, Ranching, TULKU, one met Tabaji Chagore, to the passion Namjunga, number ticket of Virginia, to Zutila Madonna, ticket Hola to Gre, something, Ramameba, that Toku. Namdutigana, Lega Garina, Chashi Shatabam, Tilla Madonna, Tarchat about Obaji, nothing to Yon to do. Then Chigalamula, Chelata Passion, than a neighbor of Namduna Pranaya, Kilo Session, Sesile Gazona, the Chergosana, Chermachu, Pesha Mambutanaya, sometimes Kalakabo, the Chani, Namdra Yong, the Rachala, Kedu Yobala, Namdu Yokoda, the Kajutanga, Kari, some Madiva Shishi, that's also not to the Yon the Gora, the India, that's the Virginia, Rawan Stan Yomare.
The third is karmic cause and effect. And so when we die, what it says in the Mahamudra preliminaries is that at the time of death we will have no control. We will go under the power of karma. So at the time of death, will we have control? We will not. But is someone else taking the control away from us? It is not that. It is what we have done in this life. It is the actions that we have done with our body, the actions we've done with our speech. It's what we've thought about in our mind. It is this karma that will determine what we do in our what happens in our next lifetime. And so we have to leave this body behind, and we go under the power of karma. And if that sends us to the lower realms, then we will have no control. We will have to go because we will no longer have any control. It's like when you have bought an airplane ticket. If you don't show up on time, you won't get on the plane. You have to go. You have no control. There's no other way to do it. The same way at the time of death. There's no way to avoid going there. And when you go to the airline, there's a limit to the amount of baggage that you can carry. you're only allowed to carry this much, and no matter how much you want to carry, you might think that you can pay them off, but the airline officials will give you a hard time. They'll make life difficult for you, and then you'll feel badly that you tried to do it. No matter how much you try to pay for overweight, you still can't carry everything. And it's so the same way at going into the next life. We just don't have any control.
Lady get home about sugares, that lady the nanny, the name around the less on both sides, the Asian Boris, laying about the Pangu, that lady paid the Zokarisha Gurusna, the name around the Luke to not and that shadow the Ludan Kakachetu Mares, Ludi Yosabachala, Marang, Ludi Charlotte Dogin, that shadow the Nubla Tesolama, the Himare, Lukawa, Tonaya, shadow the Yam the layer, do not demand Yam the layer, dinner. Lady, you don't imagine the chest is.
And so when we die, we it is karma that is in control, and so for that reason, it is important for us to practice virtuous good actions and to give up bad actions. So what is the example of this karma like? Well, the example is like our shadow with our body. Wherever we go, the shadow goes along with us. We can't separate it. We can't leave the shadow behind. We can't tell the shadow to stay over there in the west and then go off somewhere else. The shadow is going to accompany us, and so our karma will accompany us just like a shadow accompanying the body.
Being due, and Sanji the Tabla Kebe Wangi, and that lady la Araboya on the Jebana, that Luji Mikewa Sum, Magi Mikewa Shi, then Yiji Mikewa Sum di, that Mikewa Chuki, Pango Res, Kewa Chutu Res, that is Udumana, Kewa Chimata member, Kewa Dilayan, the Neche Tiji, Tunga never, that in the younger, it's Jebana, Kewa Dilayan, the Nepa. Tunga Shada Yong the Gure, Timikon Lasende, Chu Jemachilla, Samutang Mara, Chu Majanga Inaya, that is to Bujana, Tunga Yong Kare.
And so to make it all easy to understand, the Bhagavan Buddha taught it all in a gross fashion. He taught about the 3 misdeeds of the body, the 4 misdeeds of speech, and the 3 of mind. We need to give up these 10 misdeeds, and we need to practice the 10 virtues. And if we do this, it is not just beneficial for our future lives, it is also beneficial in this life. If we do unvirtuous actions, it'll cause us difficulties and problems in this life. And it doesn't matter whether we practice Dharma or not. If we do the misdeeds, it'll cause suffering in this life.
So much is so Chena, Tijela Tunga Yonkare, Kawana, Jabla De Yongre, Sung Yongre, that's say on some Tenegi, some day you want to go, Jawachimama and Jawa Delaranda, Tonjusre, and the Dana sing. Nibody, Majimba Malans, Kumakuista, Kumakuis of the Chimbatans, Takumakuna, Tunga Yonkare, Miki Hatok, Odom, Shadrom, Tachi, Sui Lavion, Sugi Sunyon, something, Senna, Ambrata Tunga Shata, Redisama, then laying Basado Yore, in the soldier, Majin, Mitamba Matches, Mitamba and the Soba Maje, Sang Marche, so the Tacho Chimeta by night, Tamzi Yapo Sungbana, then Jimmy student is Sungbana, Missy Union Bunyam to Yaba. Kibu Yaba, Chilla Tim Diaco Mazona, the name of the Mambo Sugure, the Tegimeba Sugure, the Sokwe Lega de Chena, Sobaman the young mother, Sama Lega de Gemana, Tim Yabo, Sangmasum, Yabon, Sama Kibu, Deputy Yongure, D and Duty, Tujukunia, Yabuji, Kajamachatore.
So the misdeeds of virtue, it's that we should not kill, and instead of killing, we should actually protect life. Because if we kill people, then we're always going to be worried. Is someone going to try to come and get revenge? Are they following? Are they thinking about it? We can see visibly in this lifetime that it will create suffering and difficulties. The second is that we must not steal. We must not take what is not given. We should not steal. Instead, we should try to give and be generous. Because if we steal, then we're going to be worried about keeping things and worried that people will catch us and so forth. We can see that it'll create a lot of fear and so forth in this life as well. The third is not engaging in unclean activities or not unchaste activities. So that means that we should try to be clean or chaste. So if you are, for example, if you are married, then you should, and you made the promise, then you should keep the promise. You should keep the commitment. If you do so, you will have a long life together and be happy. And if you don't, it will only create difficulties and problems, unhappiness. And so, for that reason, it is important for us to practice these three virtues of the body.
mi chambo de matin ba so da ba ta de yong gore de yen je de ba mi de tumbu so de ge chmo ta matin ba na ke ja chambo o chene tumbu so de so ge chmo cha de re de ne tik bu kan kan jong ma ju so de tik du cha de ne so de so yan sab sa chene de je ba de ne che ga dina mi ta ma ke je shena tik am jo la nimbo sem la de wa de de she de ge chmo re de mi ko yong de ne amjolaya nyamameba semlaya lamsan thutoya da semakawa ke so tene ke je tiksu bo so pangre ta nga chelse du kan ka jong manu shene tu thola ma da ba tene ta do tene che rang gi chawa ta ba som kan ba ta da che dimena de chue ji gen da ba na tene kan ding ge jo de ya bo che de je ke jom bo re timana de me be ke je shene tu thola me se thola to go re
With speech, we need to give up lying. That is the first. We need to speak truthfully, and if we speak truthfully, everyone will believe us and find us trustworthy. If we don't, we might get away with it at first, but then people will not believe us. They will not find us trustworthy. We also need to give up divisive speech. So divisive speech is saying things that try to fool people or try to make people so that they no longer get along, to divide people, make them enemies. Instead, we need to say things that try to make people get along, that make them harmonious. And when there are people who are not getting along, we need to try to speak in ways to bring them together. We need to give up harsh speech. Harsh speech is saying negative things or harsh things or unpleasant things with our speech. We need to use our mindfulness, awareness, and carefulness to make sure that everything that we say is pleasant to hear and brings happiness to people's hearts. Otherwise, if we use harsh words, then this would be unpleasant for them to hear and creates unhappiness within them. If they find it unpleasant, we should avoid such speech. We also need to avoid idle chatter. So this is just speaking about various things, business, whatever. These are things that we should try to avoid speaking. In terms of the Dharma, we should always make sure that our speech is meaningful, and in terms of the Dharma, we should always try to do recite our recitations, our texts, our prayers properly. And we should always try to speak meaningfully and properly.
Ta napsim nusim an lokta sin di yong de gore ta napsim sin de yang ko to phage de ko mi chik la ya ko to yama di ko gor tang ne tingal thop bu to lu de che ko to sam sam da de yong de re ten ke je nyem bo shin ni thom na ada sam sam to ko de sa na ina re ni sam sam mi chik la ya ko ta de na shin ji nyo ko to sam ne de ne den de ge sam do de ngarang la ko to mang bo ji sam do de yong ge re ta ti la tong sam chang ko re ta napsim ma je ba je ne ta rāngla yobada shanla kona kota jimba tāng shaya rawa tāng tā tīch tindaki tā nāpsam di pāpāni tila kāntu tu shanla penpa tōngsam di chāngu uris tā di tōdu chabā na tin nāsam di pāni pensam chāngu tā ngā tu chāngu sim kaduna shedi gyo re nyamna chagin tu hā gōgā re tā di indi tā chagi shanla tsingyan namna re samki samodu tini shangi tumba su matimba suya tini jiba su majiba suya tindaki dewa su matiba suya tā tsong tāng tila nā shangi karigi tolay na yata toshik tangi ki kulon da nasam da su paane enjimije peki ki lamla tun tubedi kechumba chaate yore tene tamad di lokta sengi da lechuri yomare tene kunjo sum sengi yomare samtan tene ki lokbarta wayana ta di zoyang tene chi kunjo sum sengi kunjo sum imana sheba kyaptu meba debada yiche kogore dana shen le jude de lugi mare le kewar chebala tane tebu deba yongyo ba yiche le mi kewar chebala tane tebu dunga jongyo ba yiche ta tende ge tane che yangda be tawa de so kogore.
Next, there are the three speech, and so these three of speech are covetousness, malice, and wrong views. So covetousness is thinking, oh, I need that, I want this, I need this. What can I do to get this? How can I get it? Maybe you speak to friends and you try to flatter something or flatter someone or say something nice to get something for yourself. Oh, I need this. It's important to get this. Instead of that, we should actually try to be generous. We should try to give away what we have and cultivate a mind of generosity. So we need to give up covetousness and instead develop the sense of generosity. The second is malice or malevolence, and the opposite of malevolence is benevolence. So we need to trade our malevolence for benevolence and develop the wish to help others. So instead of wishing to harm others, we should wish that other people be happy. Those who are unhappy, we should try to make them happy. Those who are having a good life, a bad life, we should try to make them have a good life. It is important for us to develop, to try to give up our malice or malevolence and replace it with benevolence or wishing good for others. The last is the wrong view. Wrong view particularly means not believing in karmic cause and effect, or not believing in the three jewels. And to counter it, we need to develop the right views that there are the three jewels. We need to understand that there are good reasons to have faith in the three jewels. We need to realize that karmic cause and effect are unfailing and that they do not deceive us. And so we need, in order to counter wrong views, we need to meditate upon the right view.
Touch buddhi lesa bodene that buddhi kuru nimik sende kuru kyun sende yongyore ta nimik sene kyun se shegyore ta seba kamsum kurwa sanaimendu na ridu kandu chejane tongal jirashin yemba tati hago kore ta chidangi na chashengode na seba kuru nedo dejurso tongal sumje tabu naro jir sosar chiri sheme kadanda shenchi chene zombi changjo tu senda tsegde tenche yungore ta shiba kurugi nela nesatu nyawala nyawiki topo janya yore idala idagi topo janya yore tendula tenduki topo janya yore mila mi topo yore lama ina lama yingi topo yore tenla la hai to shiba kurugi nedo tene ta ngontula dewa yore ta kazana muji sumana gyuri tongare nyansola tongal jira hashinde ta tene chegi shiba kurugi nedo tongal sum ta kanda tongal ji tongal gyuri tongal chabat ji tongal na bi tegere dunala neta bejala.
Now from the actions that we do, we then experience samsara. We just experience the defects or the faults of samsara. And so wherever we are, wherever we are born in the three realms of samsara, we will only experience it is all the nature of suffering, and we need to understand this. As it says in the Mahamudra preliminaries, the 6 realms of samsara are all by nature suffering. And so we should, like a prisoner being led to execution, we should give up all of the ties of attachment. So wherever we are born in samsara, if we are born in the hells, we'll be surrounded by hell beings. If we're born in the hungry ghost realms, we'll be surrounded by hungry ghosts. Born as a human, we are surrounded by humans. Born as animals, you're surrounded by animals. Born as a demigod, you're surrounded by demigods, and born as a god, you will be surrounded by the gods. In the higher realms, you experience pleasure, but as Rinpoche explained yesterday, this is all actually the suffering of change. The lower realms are by their nature suffering, as is clear. In any case, no matter where we are born, it does not transcend the natures of the 3 types of suffering: the suffering of change, and pervasive suffering. In all 3, wherever we will be born, we will be tormented by these 3 types of suffering.
조조 de 제가 나치 시 용대교래 대강라다 다남게 가부니보 땅 냠도 딱고 대고 삼대교래 때 이나야 대단 카타로 그래 파마 종족교래 빈자 종족교래 네스 랑가위 조보도 종족교래 다 근데지니 샘차서도 내가 차로 근데 동아 용대교래 다 도보당 자고 동아 다 미두보당 쳐도 다 자당 자니 제대로 말에 자당 냠도 탑수 제대로 말에 욕도 제대로 말에 디 라왕에 벌레용 거래 다 욕도 잡는 용데 다디 자당와당 체비 동안 다 근데 용대교래
Now, we don't have time to go through all the sufferings of all the six realms, and in general, actually, when we talk about the hells and the hungry ghosts, we don't see them, so it's often difficult for us to accept them. But we do see the sufferings of the human realm. The primary sufferings are, of course, birth, aging, sickness, and death. But on top of them, there is the suffering that they're the people whom we love, and we think, oh, I always want to be with these people, I want to stay with them. But at some point, we will be separated from them. We will be parted from our parents. We will be parted from our siblings. We'll be parted from the friends whom we love, and in the end, we'll be left with no one whom we feel close to, and be separated from all who are dear. So this is the suffering of being parted from that which is dear. The second type of suffering is the suffering of encountering the unpleasant. So we will encounter enemies and difficulties, people who give us hard times. We may want to avoid them. We don't want to get in fights with people, but the difficulties and the problems naturally come to us without us having any control. So there's the suffering of encountering what we don't want. The next type of suffering is that we are unable to get what we want or what we intend. We want to get things, but we're unable to get them. Our minds are attracted to sensory pleasures of form, sounds, taste, sense, and so forth, but we are unable to get them as we want. So we have the suffering of not getting what we want. And then there is the suffering of we have something, but we have the suffering of trying to keep it, but we're always afraid, oh, I'm going to lose this. I won't be able to keep it. It'll break. Someone will rob it. Someone will steal it from me. And so there's the suffering of keeping what we have. And then in addition, since we're all getting older, I thought we should talk about the suffering of aging. The first is that our bodies change, and then our hair changes, our skin starts to change, our complexions change, our capacities change, our vitality decreases, our merit decreases, and our places all also change. And so in these ways, there are these 8 different things that change as we get old. So as our bodies change, before we were able to stand up straight, but then we get bent over, crooked, and out of shape. We have to walk with a cane. We have trouble going places. When we are sitting down, we have trouble getting up. When we're standing up, it's difficult for us to sit down. With our hair, it turns white, and no matter what we do, no matter how much dye we use, it still won't, it just naturally turns white. It's difficult to keep it any other color. It just naturally turns white. Our skin used to be so thin and supple, and now it gets kind of leathery and wrinkled, and we try to do everything to get rid of the wrinkles, but no matter what we do, all the wrinkles keep on coming back anyways.
가도 용서 줄바 선데다 가도도 공부 저 메도 닝바는 차도 그래 가란 속에 메도도 닝바 차는 독도 줄도 그래 미기.
And so the change of the colors is that our colors fade. It's like an old withering, wilted flower.
당나버디 네 투독 용서 줄바스 다 류를 셴네 봐. 근데 갈래가 보자도
And so the fifth is losing our power, losing our capacity, and this is losing the physical strength. And losing our vitality or our charisma means that even little children no longer respect us, and they criticize and make fun of the older people, and there's nothing you can do about it.
정부 매바 유트냠 저바다 다 근데지네 칼라세 가르사나 도와 매바 저바다 근데 용대교래 긴고자데.
And then our decline in merit means that before we may have had wealth, but we use it all up. Before, whatever we eat, nothing tastes good anymore. No matter how many clothes we wear, we can't get warm. We can't keep warm. And we try to, when we eat food, nothing has any flavor anymore. And in the past, you might have been very healthy, but now you start to get sick all the time. And the smallest condition or the smallest circumstance makes you feel sick. And you're also no longer able to be happy. You think, oh, I can't do this. I couldn't do this. Before I was able to do this, I couldn't do that. When you were young, you would think, I can do that. I can do anything I want. You can study and so forth. But now you think, oh, I can't do that. It's too difficult to do that. Now this won't work out for me. And so you get really discouraged. 기부 가수지 유나이 대가서 잡아두지 동안에 여러 때 해당 알아서 하고 그요 말에 근데 박번남지 근데 대화디야 동안에 안신 봐 기부디야 근데 기부인 멤버 동안에 안신 봐 채워도
Necrola, Nijon Tapu, Tinit, and Michela, Tati to some Gure.
And so the three types of suffering, the suffering of suffering is the suffering of the lower realms. The suffering of change is the upper realms. And the all-pervasive suffering of formation is in all realms. This is just an easy way of putting it. As Rinpoche explained yesterday, everything in the external world is always changing. All the inhabitants, the sentient beings, are always changing. First we're children, then we grow up, and we may think that we don't want to get old, but we do get old anyways. It is just the nature that everything is always changing, and this is pervasive, so it is called the all-pervasive suffering of formation. And an example of this is that from the very moment that we take a bodily form, from the moment of conception, there is all-pervasive suffering of formation. And the reason for this is that when the body is created, there are also created the wind, bile, and phlegm that are causes of all illnesses. And this is because these are caused by greed, hatred, and delusion. So as long as those are present, then they will naturally also occur. And so from the moment we have the body, then it also is subject to the all-pervasive suffering of formation. But we do not realize that, we are not aware of the all-pervasive suffering of formation. But the noble beings are. They see that everything pleasant is by its nature suffering, and they have no attachment to it. And they realize that everything that seems fun is actually not; it is actually suffering. Knowing this, they develop the wish for freedom from samsara and only strive at the Dharma.
The Loto number she to Tunji Shiva in that the Gomdan, the Tanga to Dizurjan, Mindula, that Michela, that Shandokom demand, Sigdurchima Shujana Samsung.
And so this is a brief overview of the four thoughts that turn the mind. This is a brief overview of the four thoughts that turn the mind. We don't have a lot of time to go over how to meditate upon them, but I thought I would give an explanation of the words of the text.
Finish tomorrow. Yeah. Dana Unduki Dashiba Lejude Lotonamshi Kapsulaya Shendi Jenny Zumbi Jangjo to the Pedic and the Shasna Music Niba Chambu Jenny, that's a Tim Korangi, Niba the Garrison so Jegita Mana Shamba Tapshan Lebata and the WG Chadu Kapsula. So Chesadita, Kanjung Manjula Chegio Mara, Shungi Tim Dance, Saja Chigio, that in the Table de Capsula, Nicola, and Kunar Benjo, Mambo taking in Charan, Tati, Charan Latin cooking in, and Charan Labdana, that Kunar Benjo, Shamba Yungumare, Chapo Yungumare, Cocan Tanga Shiere, digging Ala Kaya, Pengamare, Dingala, Kaya Chetukumare, something in the order, and Kalashim Bushuji. Mambuchi Sen, that Charan and Kibutanolana, Kos Shiela, Tani, the Zulaya, Nichi, Tisaku, Pagita, Tungu, the Long Choku, on the negation, but the Yungumare is like your.
And so with the meditating on the four thoughts that turn the mind, we should be like a convict being led to the execution, the place of execution. So if you have a really bad criminal, a convict who is sentenced to death, then when they're being led to this place of their execution, then they don't want anything. If you offer them wealth, if you offer them jewels, they won't want it. They think, this isn't going to help me. I don't need this. I'm going to die. I don't need this. They have no attachment to it. Even if you give them the most delicious food, they won't enjoy it because they'll think, because of the fear of death, they will have no attachment even to food. And these are things that we can see. These days, there are quite a few people who have illnesses such as cancer, and we can see how we can use that as an example as well, to see how they have less attachment, less craving.
아니 거미하고 잡두고 말해 사사적으로 도고나 인지민지 강보 거래스 강보면은 사자들 랩두고 말해스 딘디 아니 그러월라 셴발로 거래스 셴발로도나 거미 잡이라 강보도 보다 당보도 중보래스
So as it says here, revulsion is the foot of meditation as it's taught. So we have to have revulsion for samsara. If we do not have revulsion for samsara, we will not be able to go anywhere. It's like the foot of meditation. If you want to go someplace, you have to have feet to get there. If you don't have feet, you won't get there. And so in the same way, we have to have the revulsion from samsara, because if we do not, we will not be able to meditate. So it is like the foot of meditation.
세라 신자 신부 놀라 신자 신부래 다 강민라 신자 신부래 다 벤저 강라나 신부 신부여지 되는 안주 고미하고 잡두고야 말 냠내야고 제두고야 말 같은 항상마 다 조조데 냠내야고 제마들이 싸워도 가도는 신부 빵마도 버터 그래
So we are not able to practice well. We are not able to practice well, and the reason is that we are attached to samsara. We're attached to food. We're attached to wealth. We're attached to names and popularity. Because we're attached to these, we are not able to practice, to meditate well, or to practice well. And the reason for this is that we have not been able to give up our attachment.
다 마음바 시갈람을 펜사마레 바르돌라야 펜사마레 개워치마라야 펜사마레 다 개워치마다 바르돌라 동안 만용의 탑지 다다서고도 다인데 이추제고도 삼네 나 강도지도기 대체리기 되는 강도지도 때 셴바총도 당해도 다 그래
And so we should have no craving for food or for wealth. And these two are primary ones. We should have no attachment to any of the objects of our craving. It's difficult to give them up entirely, but if we can at least decrease our craving, that helps. We need to think, I need to practice the Dharma. I need to spend my time practicing the Dharma, spending my time in meditation. Because if we follow these, then if we follow our cravings, then they will not help us at the time of death. They will not help us in the bardo. They will not help us in our next lifetime. And so for that reason, we need to give up our craving, or lessen our cravings, and spend our time practicing the Dharma, and that'll help us in our next life in the bardo. And so for that reason, in order to practice, we need to decrease our craving.
빵도근데 소리스나 아니 침보데 소리스 당아주다나 검서버와레 검진 차요 말에 대해서나 셴발람상 빵도고 말에 다침 검침보도 불어프긴 연나야 다직 불어 터보고도 삼바용 말에 근데 고샵 제고고도 삼바용 말에 대상말에 셴바용 말에 당아랑서야 다 고만 남지 지다를 투를 녀바나신 셴바빵만신 딘 직보제한테만 강도 지도기 되나신지 말한섬 줄라야 근데 있는 되나신 깨도 버진제 랍도소 말하라야 검야고 줄에 버진제 랍도소 스니다 솔데 슈보고래
And so the ones who cut the ties to this life are the great meditators. Like the great meditators who have no craving for food or wealth, who cut the ties to this life. And that we are beginning meditators. We have not eliminated our attachment, but it is the great meditators who have. They have no thought, oh, I need to get something. If they're offered something, they do not think, I need this, I need to get it. They have no attachment. They've cut their ties to this life. So it's difficult for us because we still have attachment, but we should try to do as much as we can to be like those great meditators. We need to think to ourselves, bless me that I can be like those great meditators, bless me that I can feel revulsion like these great meditators, and we need to make this supplication.
다 sajjabbayna dana dikapsula da shemba shidalki tanga di ta chizun chambi yangi chizun tapa jazana nambare and kambo potobayna da tabu chushi sindi da tizo songyongyore da kandar di tidun tidiji shasha yin tring.
And so this is discussed in the parting from the four attachment in the Sankhyapa tradition, which is given to Manjushri, from Manjushri to Sakyakunga Gyaltsen, Tapa Gyaltsen. And it is also described in Gampopa's four dharmas of Gampopa, but in interest of time, I will leave it here today.
Tacharanza tiwayina chini lingi, tacharanza makaya marate kale mambujab, tachini yampe liu kale kana, dini semki sambataya kale kabayonggore.
So we have time for one or two questions. You all, of course, you all have gone through a lot of effort to come here and a lot of difficulty to come here, so you must be tired and so forth. There's nothing wrong with that. Of course, that's how it happens. But if you have questions, we can have one or two.
Yes, please.
So I think is it the Tibetan word shenlo that you're translating? Sometimes it's detachment, and sometimes it's revulsion. And I'm wondering if maybe if you don't do, you just maybe want to say a little bit more about emphasis on revulsion versus detachment.
Shenlo, the Kapkala, the revulsion, couple of detachment.
Shamba loss the sick taker la jurbana, that's a tuk to what of it. And a moduna to the Mika Shamba look to two young door, Tila Lagura. That the Gawayo Maratonga and Jilla Chagura. Kala the Mampuchi Mambos and that Shimu Bachadra, Tila Shamba look like a sick taker.
So if you look at the word, the word Tibetan word shenlo, actually it means nauseate. It's like when you're going in a car and you get nauseated from the motion sickness and you feel like you're going to vomit. And it's also if you just eat the same food over and over again, you start getting really nauseated by that same food. So that's really the meaning of the word.
What is shenpa? So shenpa is attachment, is that?
Nakapsula Shamba the Chakbal Shagure, the Chakbadi, Bangores like
So at this point, it means the shenpa. The word shenpa means attachment, and this means that we need to give up our attachment.
I was wondering if you could comment on the line with the quality of example. Hold of the image, and if there's any particular meaning of that, holding example over the image.
Tibetan numbers in the Kandidu Tadugala Kazan Lama Chikchilla Lomadi, Tebakazudu, Yajungazu and that Tebakazu, Mugukazudu, that Lamadigi and the Tulangasha Bodeta, Chik Lomadilata, Tebayapo, Chiyuna, the Nekola Pontundu Yabojanatin, Chikjurana, Lamadigi Tula Tumbati, Lomata Langiore, Lamatulaka, Niabati, Lamalaka, Yobadian, Lomata, the Cubos and Chikichilla Parmache, but Juni on the bar. That's the Cubos and Tangaranzo Lama Tangurum Bishel, Tangurum Bishel, full of Nas Namina Tulan, Nani, Nendita, Narang, Chugura, Narang, Shigura, Narang Hagura, Tatina, Tangurum Bushna, Chinjilla, the Solama, the Tata of the Vajana.
When we talk about lineage, then lineage is, when one guru then passes on to their students, they see that the student has enough. They measure how much faith does the student have, how much devotion do they have, and if they have the faith, then and enough diligence, then they are able to give them the qualities, give them their realization, to transmit their realization to them. And it goes from one lama to the student, and so the lineage means that it goes from one lama to the next in a continuous cycle. And so for us, it's like the lama is Trungpa Rinpoche, and so it's like praying, bless me, so that I can receive all the qualities of Trungpa Rinpoche, that I can develop them all, that I can learn them, that I can know them, that I can realize them. Basically, if you understand this as saying, bless me so that I can be just like Trungpa Rinpoche, that's fine. It says, as was discussed this morning, Khenpo Gangsho Wombo says that just mere understanding isn't enough. We need to develop the qualities within ourselves. In order to do this, we need to sustain the continuum of the essence. If we do this, we will be able to increase our realization. Otherwise, we will not. It's sort of like when you get to Varanasi. If you immediately leave Varanasi and then go on to Bodh Gaya, if someone asks you, well, what is there in Varanasi? You won't be able to answer the question. So it's like, when you see a guru and the guru gives you instruction, or if you just listen to what the guru says, then that's one thing. But if you practice what the guru taught, then you develop the realization within your mind. You are able to understand. You say, this is what it is. This is what it means. You develop real certainty for yourself. And then later, if someone asks you about it, you can say, okay, this is what it is. This is what it's like. It's like if you come here to Sarnath and you spend some time and you go and you look, where's the stupa, where's everything, what's the situation, then you know what everything is like here, and you're able, if someone asks you what's it like, you're able to tell them. But if you just come and then you go off to Bodh Gaya right away, then someone asks you, what's Varanasi like? You don't know what to say. So it's like when you do the meditation practice, then you can say, okay, this is the realization I had, this is the experience, this is the feeling and the practice that I had, and you can tell others about it.
Okay, any more? No more, then we stop. Yeah, it looks like everybody get freezing cold, suffering. This is the one of suffering. Okay, would you mind that again? Thank you very much.